We have a problem and a big misunderstanding when it comes to first-time homebuyers and whether or not they should purchase a home in 2023 with the current state of the market. I'm here to tell you that you should not be stressing so much about the things you've been hearing about over the last year, and the stress points are positives when it comes to this 2023 market. And I want to share some of those today. First one being high interest rate, the next being inflated home prices, and the last, a looming recession. These can all be benefits to you when trying to purchase a home in 2023. And if you haven't, and this is your first time wanting to purchase a home, this might be the perfect opportunity, and I'm going to get into it today in this video. If this is your first time here, my name is Caden Anini, a loan officer in Phoenix, Arizona, aka the Millennial Loan Officer. Before I dive in, if you have any questions as we progress through this video, don't be afraid to drop those questions in the comments, send me an email, or if you want to dive in a little deeper, you can always book a call on my Calendly link below. Let's get into it. First stress point, high interest rate. Well, interest rates only seem high or are relatively high compared to the craziness we saw in 2020 and 2021, where we had insanely low, record low rates, and people were buying up homes left and right because the cost to borrow money was so low. In reality, rates are not that high compared to what we've seen throughout history. But I will admit, being a millennial myself, if I did not own a home, I would understand the stress that this would cause, because we have home prices that are higher than they were in, say, the 1980s, when everyone is saying, oh, my interest rate was 14%. Completely understood. But here's a reality check. We probably will not see those rates anytime in the near future. Our housing market cannot handle that. The rates that we're seeing today, roughly 6.5, we're probably heading towards somewhere in the 5. The market cannot handle those rates again, and this is the new normal. We saw the frenzy. We saw that people were buying homes left and right. Our inventory that we can't build fast enough cannot handle those rates. The place where we can remain stable is probably somewhere in the 5s, according to experts and their opinion, and also hearing from other people in the real estate market. That demand with those interest rates would eat up all of the inventory and send us into a spiral and put us potentially in the same spot we just were in the back end of 2022, when rates shot through the roof. No one could afford the homes, and the market basically stalled out. Another key thing to look at when it comes to interest rates, they're directly tied to inflation. So when we saw interest rates at their highs of in the 7s, and people were like, this is way too high, inflation was there too, at the peak of about 9%. Well, now currently we are in February of 2023, inflation has come down to 6.5%, and interest rates have started to tick down with it. As inflation cools, interest rates will come down with them, falling somewhere in that 5.5 to 6% range. So here's the cool thing, and something to think about. You want to purchase a home before those interest rates hit the bottom. When you're doing that, you're able to get into a home with less competition, while everyone else is going to rush into the market once they get to that low rate environment. You can get into a home, less competition, and then still access those low rates in the form of a refinance and be set long term. Don't forget, you're still looking for a home that you love and want to live in. Just these numbers are another thing to take into consideration. The second stress point, inflated home price. Yes, home prices took off in 2020 and 2021, raising 40 to 60% because of those low interest rates, because of the demand. We had low supply, high demand, basic economics pushed prices up. But here we are in February of 2023, home prices have actually fallen in some areas 10 to 15%. That is a great time to swoop in when you're worried about inflated home prices. They're actually deflating. They're actually coming down from that peak. You're most likely gonna see prices basically on sale compared to where they were at in June of 2022. But does that mean they're gonna continually fall? No, and here's why. We go back to the supply and demand. We go back to inventory like I was talking about before. We cannot build enough for the buyer demand that is inbound when it comes to millennial home buyers, anyone entering the market. With that high buyer demand, we are going to start to see prices come up. With low interest rates, we're going to start to see prices come up. Prices will rebound. Prices will rebound. Here in the short term, the core logic forecast for appreciation gains in 2023 for just homeowners is 3%. So we're still expecting home prices to raise 3%. Say you bought a home at $500,000 in January of 2023, you're expected to make $15,000 by the end of the year on that same home. Home prices are still going to go up. In theory, you could potentially get a home on sale in this current market, but when rates start to lower and people start to enter this market, you're going to see prices come back up and competition come back to the market, pushing this back to a seller's market. Home prices will always go up. In a straight line, no, but over time, they will go up. So do not expect to sit on the sidelines and wait for home prices to come down further. And lastly, the third stress point, a looming recession. So oddly enough, Recessions are actually great for the housing market. I want you to think back to everything we've dealt with for the last year. We've probably already seen the worst of the housing market. Interest rates up to 7%, super low inventory. But when the recession hits, we're gonna have rates come down. The one downside of the recession, of course, is people will lose their jobs. Mortgage or qualify for a mortgage would be impacted. But when it comes to the housing market, a recession is great. That's that first point when we hit a recession that we wanna stimulate spending. And the rates are lower and we wanna get people back into the market. Like I said before, when rates come down, buyer demand picks up, more people back to the market, more competition. If you're able to get in there before the recession fully hit, look at 2020. That was a recession, the pandemic recession. The market blew up. They had to stimulate spending. That is exactly what's gonna happen at a little bit of a higher scale when it comes to interest rates, but still a low compared to 2022. I want you to throw out the idea of a recession being bad for the housing market. In all but one recession, housing has always increased. That one recession was in 2008 when the recession was caused by the housing market. But the change from then to now is we have better lending practices, people can qualify for mortgages, and we're not going to see that uptick in foreclosures. Foreclosures right now are still at historic lows. Now I can understand these stress points, but I wanted to come on here and inform you a little deeper on the benefits of these stress points and why they're actually good for you going forward into the next coming months of 2023. Yes, in theory, interest rates seem high to 2020 and 2021, but we're not going to get those rates again. Rates are actually starting to trend down. Yes, home prices seem to be inflated compared to 2019, but over the last 6 months, they're currently down 10 to 15%. You're potentially able to purchase a home that's on sale compared to 2022. Home prices recently have deflated, but over time, they will always inflate. That's why you always hear time in the market is better than timing the market. The longer you're in the housing market, the more you will win. And only one recession in the history has caused home prices to go down, and that was the one directly tied to the housing market. I hope this brought a little bit more information and clarity to the 2023 market and a forecast of what may come. If you have any more questions or want a little bit more information, don't be afraid to reach out to me. My details are below, where you could book a Calendly call or send me an email. I'd be happy to help out. Thank you for watching. Like I said, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss my next video, and I'll see y'all in the next one.